Whispering Pines, a name that evoked images of quaint houses and tree-lined streets. The silence was almost a presence itself, broken only by the rustle of leaves or the distant bark of a dog. It was in this town, nestled between rolling hills and a forgotten highway, that the Library of Lives appeared. No one knew how it got there. One day the townsfolk woke up to this imposing structure, right in the heart of their town square. Its tall spires seemed to touch the sky, its walls built of a dark, polished stone that seemed to absorb the sunlight. The townsfolk, initially hesitant, were drawn in by curiosity. The library doors, heavy and imposing, swung open with a gentle push. Inside, an endless expanse of shelves greeted them, each one stacked with books bound in leather and velvet. But these were no ordinary books. Each book, the librarian explained with a strange glint in his eyes, held a life. Not just any life, but a life that had been lived, experienced, and felt in every possible way. These were not mere stories or biographies, but the essence of a person's existence captured and preserved within the pages. Not a story, not a biography, but a life, unfolding page by page. Each turn of the page revealed moments of joy, sorrow, triumph, and defeat. It was as if the very soul of the person was imprinted on the paper, waiting to be discovered by those who dared to look. "Pick a book," he'd said, "any book. The choice was yours, and with it came the responsibility of holding someone's life in your hands." The librarian's words echoed in the minds of those who entered, a challenge and an invitation all at once. You'll find the life of someone you know within these walls. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. To think that the lives of friends, family, and even strangers were contained within these ancient tomes was almost too much to comprehend. The townsfolk, intrigued and slightly unnerved, began to explore. They wandered through the aisles, their fingers brushing against the spines of books that seemed to whisper secrets and stories of lives lived long ago. There was an undeniable allure to the idea, the possibility of uncovering hidden truths, of understanding the depths of another soul, was a temptation too great to resist. To hold someone's life, their secrets, their dreams, in your hands. It was a power and a privilege, a chance to connect with the past in a way that was both intimate and profound. Soon, the library became the heart of Whispering Pines. It was a place where the past and present intertwined, where the lives of those who had come before were honored and remembered. The townsfolk, initially wary, found themselves drawn to its silent aisles. The library became a sanctuary, a place of reflection and discovery. The lure of the books, of holding a life in their hands, was too strong to resist. Each visit to the library was a journey into the unknown, a chance to uncover the mysteries of another's existence. Among them was a young woman named Alice. She was different from the others, with a curiosity that knew no bounds and a heart that yearned for adventure. Alice, with her heart full of unspoken dreams and her head full of stories, was captivated by the Library of Lives. She felt a connection to the place, as if it held the answers to questions she had yet to ask. She found herself drawn to a book bound in soft, worn leather. It seemed to call to her, promising secrets and stories that were waiting to be uncovered. The title seemed to shift and change under her fingertips. It was as if the book was alive, responding to her touch and revealing its true nature only to her. It felt warm, almost alive. Alice knew that this book held something special, something that would change her life forever. She took a deep breath and opened the cover, ready to embark on a journey into the unknown. The book fell open to a random page. Words swam before her eyes, forming a narrative so captivating, so real, that Alice felt she was living it. She read about a young boy, filled with dreams of escaping his small town. She felt his joy, his pain, his hopes, his disappointments. It was exhilarating, terrifying, addictive. Night after night, Alice found herself drawn back to the library. The book, with its worn leather cover and its ever-shifting title, became her constant companion. One evening, as she was engrossed in a particularly poignant passage, her fingers brushed against the edge of the page. It felt thinner than it should, almost brittle. She held the page up to the dim light. It was then that she noticed it. A faint, translucent line ran across the page, as if it were slowly fading away. Panic welled up inside her. Alice could feel her heart racing, her breath quickening as she tried to make sense of what was happening. She frantically flipped through the book, her heart pounding in her chest. Each page she turned seemed to mock her, the words blurring together in her frantic state. Every page, every single page had that same translucent line. It was as if the book was infected, a creeping sickness spreading through its pages. The book was disappearing, page by page. Fear turned to confusion. She couldn't understand how or why this was happening. It defied all logic. Why was the book disappearing? What kind of dark magic or twisted trick was at play here? Was it because she was reading it? Did her very act of reading cause the pages to vanish? The thought sent shivers down her spine. Was this some cruel joke? Was someone playing with her mind? Or was there a deeper, more sinister force at work? Driven by a mixture of fear and morbid curiosity, Alice continued reading. She had to know what would happen next, even if it meant watching the book disappear before her eyes. The story unfolded, pulling her deeper into its intricate web. Each word, each sentence seemed to draw her in further, making it impossible to stop. She read about the boy's first love, his first heartbreak, his triumphs and his failures. His life was laid bare before her, each moment more vivid than the last. But with every page she turned, the translucent line grew more prominent. It was as if the book was warning her, urging her to stop. The book was vanishing and there was nothing she could do to stop it. She felt a sense of helplessness wash over her, a realization that she was powerless. Alice tried to confide in others, to share her terrifying discovery. She hoped that someone, anyone, could offer an explanation or a solution. She showed the book to friends, to colleagues, to anyone who would listen, but no one could see the lines, no one believed her. But her words sounded hollow, even to her own ears. She felt a growing sense of isolation, a fear that she was losing her grip on reality. How could she possibly explain that a book, a life, was disappearing as she read it? The weight of the mystery pressed down on her, leaving her feeling more alone than ever. Section 5. Whispers of change, echoes in the protagonist's life. As the pages of the book continued to vanish, Alice noticed something strange happening to her own life. It started subtly. A familiar scent, a half-remembered dream, a sense of déjà vu so strong it made her dizzy. Then, the changes became more pronounced. She found herself reacting to situations in ways she never had before. Her words, her thoughts, even her dreams seemed to be echoing those of the boy in the book. Fear turned to terror. Was she losing her mind? Or was something far more sinister at play? The line between her life and the life in the book was blurring and she didn't know how to stop it. Section 6. The fear that grips as reality slips. The once comforting silence of whispering pines now felt oppressive, filled with unseen eyes. The rustle of leaves sounded like whispers, the shadows seemed to writhe and twist. Sleep offered no escape, for her dreams were now filled with the life she read in the book. The boy's memories were becoming her own, his emotions bleeding into her reality. Alice was trapped, caught in a terrifying spiral she couldn't escape. The book, her life, everything was slipping away page by vanishing page. Section 7. The town's secret, whispers in the shadows. Desperate, Alice decided to confide in the only person she thought might believe her, the old librarian. He had been there since the library appeared, a silent, watchful presence. His eyes, when he heard her story, held a strange mixture of sadness and resignation. He told her the truth about the Library of Lives, a truth whispered in hushed tones by the shadows themselves. The library, he revealed, was not a gift, but a curse. The books, he explained, didn't just contain lives, they consumed them. Every page read, every word absorbed, drew the reader closer to the life in the book, while simultaneously erasing their own. Section 8. The revelation, a truth too hard to swallow. The Library of Lives, he explained, thrived on the exchange of existence. For someone to truly live within those pages, another had to surrender their own life, page by stolen page. Alice finally understood. The strange familiarity, the echoing emotions, the disappearing pages, it all made sense. She was living the boy's life, but at the cost of her own. The realization hit her with the force of a physical blow. The book, once a source of wonder and escape, now felt heavy in her hands, a symbol of her own impending erasure. Section 9. The choice, to read or to live. In the dimly lit library, shadows danced across the ancient tomes, each one holding a story, a life, a choice. The librarian offered her no comfort, no solution. His eyes, cold and unyielding, seemed to pierce through her soul, as if he had seen countless others wrestle with the same dilemma. The choice, he said, was hers. His voice echoed in the vast silence of the library, a haunting reminder of the gravity of her decision. To continue reading, to fully embrace the boy's life and surrender her own, to lose herself in the pages and become a mere shadow of her former self, or to stop reading, to preserve what was left of her life, forever incomplete. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on her chest, each breath a struggle. Alice fled the library, the weight of the book unbearable in her hands. Her heart pounded in her chest, a frantic rhythm that matched her hurried footsteps. She stood outside, the cool night air a stark contrast to the suffocating atmosphere of the library. The stars above seemed to offer a silent solace, a reminder of the world beyond the pages. The library with its imposing structure and endless shelves no longer held any allure. It was a place of entrapment, a labyrinth of lost souls. It was a tomb, a repository of stolen lives, and she had almost become its next victim. The realization sent a shiver down her spine, a cold dread that lingered. Alice left the book lying on the library steps, bathed in the cold moonlight. It felt like a final act of defiance, a rejection of the fate that had almost claimed her. She walked away, back into the whispering silence of Whispering Pines, the town that had always been her sanctuary. Each step felt like a reclaiming of her own story, clinging to the remnants of her own life, forever changed by her encounter with the Library of Lives. The experience had left an indelible mark on her soul, a reminder of the choices that define us. As she looked up at the night sky, the stars twinkling like distant memories, she knew that her life would never be the same, but it was her life, and she was determined to live it fully, embracing every moment, every choice.